and this is a quote from Suits that I really like. This is Harvey Specter. He's talking to Mike Ross, and Mike's like, why does this matter? I don't care. It's stupid that people are making a big deal
It's
out of this. And
superficial.
yeah, it's superficial. And so he says, and like, you have to remember, first impressions last. If you start behind the eight ball, you'll never get in front. And it just shows that first impressions can really, really go a long way. It's not the only thing that matters, but it
Hmm.
does have a lasting impact. And if you don't, you're not supposed to like dress overly expensive. You're just supposed to dress modest to stand out a little bit out of the crowd and like have good quality material. The other thing that's interesting about the psychology of money is that when you tend to spend on something more expensive, you tend to care for it a
Take
little
care of it.
better. All right, we're officially recording, and we see that we're back. And okay, hey, how's your week been, Sean?
Sweet. It's been good. I actually just got back from the Grand Teton,
Woo.
from a random weekend that we decided to go to. But I heard that. But how was your week?
So we went to Manila, and
Dang.
I'm we went to Manila, and I've always had this dream of living in the city. But there's a couple. This was my first time since I came back where I actually explored in the area outside of
Mhm.
Pasay. So when you're in Manila, one of the closest cities is Pasay City, and uh, we stayed in this area that's owned by one of the biggest conglomerates in the Philippines, SM. So SM is a
Mhm.
large conglomerate that owns a lot of property, and so they own this property right by the bay.
Mhm.
And I think it's SM by they call this place SM by the Bay. And ever since I got back from Hawaii, whenever I would visit Manila, I never really visited outside that area,
Mhm.
with the exclusion of going to Baguio when I saw you that one time when you visited. But like
Mhm.
other than that, I never really had to commute out. And this is for the first time I realized, dang, Manila is a very crowded place. Like going from the distance of not sure how you would say, like from Laie to Kahuku, how far would you say, like from BYU Hawaii to Kahuku Hospital, how far would you say that distance is approximately?
That
That's
might be
like
like 5, 8 miles. That's actually
5-8 miles,
not that
right?
far.
Okay. And how
Yeah.
long, like it takes us like 30 minutes to maybe drive there, right?
To Kahuku,
So to
takes like
Kahuku.
maybe 15 minutes max, like 10,
Right, 15
15.
minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
So 15 minutes max. And in Davao, like where I live, it's probably like somewhere like 30, maybe 20 minutes. In
Mhm.
Manila though, it took us on a non-rush hour time, it took us an hour and 15 minutes,
Mm.
approximately that time. And then during rush hour, it took us like two and a half 2.5
Dang.
hours. And so that's when I realized Manila traffic was not for me. But with my career and my profession, if I'm going to work back in an office, that's going to be the situation that I'm going to be in, actually. And after that, we met up with a couple of my mom's friends, and these were her friends from her mission.
Mhm.
No, not her mission, from her teaching at the missionary training center. And it was so nice to see like how after all this time, they're they're very, very accomplished in their careers,
Mhm.
and they're also they've managed to stay in close. One of them is an area planner for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And essentially what that means was that whenever there's a general authority on Area 70 that needs something done, he basically is the person you call to get those things done. So he's like,
Okay.
yeah, he's like everyone who's go to. There's another who's he just finished his calling as a mission president for the Philippines Antipolo mission, and right after that, he was called to serve in the Area 70. Like he didn't even finish his mission president. He was immediately called to serve in the Area 70. He had like a few months left,
Wow.
and
I didn't know that was
yeah,
possible.
I didn't know it was possible either. Apparently, they were supposed to wait after, but then they started giving him calling. So he's technically still like a mission president who hasn't been released yet. But then he's also already fulfilling his Area 70 duties. and he's also working right now. Right now, he's working as the Philippines director for the Academy for Creating Enterprise, which basically is a program that helps Filipinos start their business to get it off the ground, to help them know the things that they should do and that know about. And there's a lot of really good businesses that came out of this program. And so meeting with these kinds of people, there's also one more who's working for, like, he's like the head of a marketing agency that includes like Avon, like the makeup brand, like a popular makeup brand in the Philippines.
Mhm.
And that dude's that dude's balling, but he's so humble. Like he's in like the simplest of clothes, like a plain t-shirt and like jeans
Well, that's
and
funny
like
you
a
say that.
baseball cap.
It makes me think about
Yeah,
the minimalist style of wardrobe where,
right.
oh, it looks like a white T-shirt, but that white T-shirt's like $100, $200. Oh, it
It's
looks like
not
a
even
normal
like a
baseball
$200
cap.
t-shirt.
That's
It's
like
just
a
like a
six hundred
plain
dollar
old
baseball cap.
t-shirt.
No, it's one of those shirts that are like the no brand,
Right.
really expensive clothing. Like for example, um, like Steve Jobs, right? When what he wore with his just normal shirt as well as the pants, those are like $1,000 shirts, $1,000 pants, even though it looks
Really?
so common. Yeah.
Dang.
So it's just like that, or like Mark Zuckerberg, right? Like this, the people that have the same style of clothing,
Right.
like very minimal, but that's actually really crazy expensive. So
Right.
let's keep that in mind. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think I like that
I
mindset, like
think the
where
thing
they
that
don't
makes
need
it
to flash their wealth.
No, they don't. I think the idea about it is that they prioritize quality over like flashy. So I remember this from Kevin O'Leary. He did a reel, and one of the things he comments on is that it's one of the things that you should be willing to spend money on is clothing, like really nice clothing, nice quality clothing, so that it can last
Mhm.
you a long time. And I agree with him on that.
Actually,
There's
okay, keep
yeah.
going.
Oh, yeah. There's one things that those are one of the things that I'm trying to prioritize in my life. Is like number one, I should
Mm-hmm.
be willing to invest in clothes, and I should be willing not overspend, but just at least when you go out in public, you look decent. You don't look like
Um,
you, yeah, you don't like to look like some random guy in the street. You're able to stand out in a crowd. That's number
uh,
one. Number two, I'm willing to buy things that help me basically save time. Overall.
sure, but I think there's actually there is a not a smart thing about it. Something that I
Mm-hmm.
noticed because as I'm kind of still developing my interchangeable wardrobe, where I
Right.
already have my pants, having my shirt, and then like t-shirts, like especially like a t-shirt like this with just like different colors that I like.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I'm noticing, for example, is like I noticed that some of my shirts like had a stain because of this or that, and it made me
Mm-hmm.
think, this is like a Goodfellows t-shirt. Let's say it's like $5 or so.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, man, I'm just thinking, imagine if I had a 20, 50, 100 plus kind of like more outerwear
Mm-hmm.
at that moment. What's going to happen is eventually your clothes will get stained. Your clothes, something or another will happen. Do you also, it's almost like driving around a really fancy car, and as fancy of a car that
Mm-hmm.
you have, let's say you're in the city, you're still going to be stuck in the same traffic as a $5,000 car, or you still
Right.
have the same, like you still have the liability as something could happen, some accident, some kind of issue would happen. A bird poo will still like drop on it, like with
Right.
like the same levels of variability, and so there's
Mm-hmm.
still that headache that comes with it. And I'm just thinking, I had a green one like this, and like my wife recognized that there was a stain, and I'm just like, oh
Right.
yeah, I guess that kind of does suck, but it's not that big a deal. But I'm just thinking, what would have happened if that was an even more expensive shirt?
Mm.
Like you're still going to
Okay.
be going out and about doing your life. Let's say there's going to be somebody's going to be cooking, you'll be cooking, maybe some of the oil would splash.
Right.
Do you want to go with that mindset? Like I can
Right.
see it now where somebody has a really expensive watch, and then you know somebody clinks it on accident somehow, some way, and then you're gonna freak out
Mm-hmm.
because it's. Do you know how expensive this was? Like, do you want to be that kind of person, or maybe
Right.
you're not like that outwardly, but then in my mind, like that's something that is going to be weighing on me. For
Right.
example, I have an Apple Watch. I mean, it's not the newest one anymore or anything like that, but like
But it used to be.
before I used to think about it, but then after a while, like it is what it is. It is to me straight up just a watch, and like it has
Mm,
some scratches, but it's not hurting me like mentally or
right.
emotionally. But I can
It's
see
one
it
of
because
those things that like subsides as you use it over time. The law
exactly.
of normalization was what it's called.
I mean, it's just gonna depreciate in value because everything
Right.
does. But like, I'm just thinking about it with like with t-shirts, and we're talking about investments as clothing. Like things are gonna happen to
Mm,
it. Are you also available? Are you gonna be emotionally mature enough to not go haywire on it? Let's say
right.
also like laundry, right? Maybe you have white clothes, and then a
Mm.
pink or something red gets in there, now it becomes a little bit pink. It's like, are you able to kind of handle that? Because
Okay.
I'm looking because I look at all these clothings. I in particular like when we went to Baguio, like, I kind of spent quite a bit with clothing,
Right.
particularly Uniqlo. Shout out to Uniqlo. Uh, but
We're
I
doing
got
sponsorships now. We're not even paid for sponsorship.
I got like their polos, PK polos, and I loved it. I think it's really awesome. It looks really good. But then also like little but like just throughout the day, even in the office, like things happen. Like maybe there's a crease that like won't,
Hmm.
or like there's like a little line, like maybe a pen or something, then a slight line in part of the
Right.
t-shirt or something or another.
Right.
And I'm like, that's unfortunate, that's annoying, kind of it's bothersome at the moment, but at the same time it's not the end of the world. And I'm not saying that as like
Hmm.
these shirts like they're just whatever, because they could be
Right.
fairly
Right.
expensive, right? But rather it's like I want to still look fashionable, still look good, but it's not uh like it is what it is. It's just it's an asset, and it's being used. I can't imagine also like some of these people thinking about maybe like a particular like an investment, right? So you should, like, let's say a $500 jacket or something, and then you can still sell it for
Hmm.
$500. I think
Right.
there's a level to it where you got to recognize that there's things that will be used up rather than as an investment.
Right.
Like you were just it kind of just reminded me of that person you were mentioning, like who's balling, who looks really really humble.
Right.
I don't know. I see that. My mindset on it isn't necessarily being humble. It's rather like that's what they like to do. Like that's what they like to wear.
Mm.
And it's just different people. Like he has the option to not necessarily look a certain part, because
Right.
there is a moment where if you're climbing up the ladder, you do need to look a certain part, because
Right.
it does influence people. It does. I think especially like I'm even talking to myself in a way where like, oh, I don't really value this or that. I think it's very superficial to kind of think about somebody's clothing or maybe their hairstyle. Um,
Hmm.
we got to look into like their technical skills, like their
Right.
certifications. But the reality of the matter is the things that they like, the things that you wear, the things that, let's say, that's how you smell. Those things does make an impact, like a
Right.
major impact, because there's like little small snowballs like picking up, and then these are things is going to shape who you are. And I'm just thinking about it, how like I'm looking at clothing at the moment as well, like for
Hmm.
potentially in the winter time here, because it's gonna snow, it's gonna get really cold,
Right.
and like what's the value here where it actually makes sense to buy something that is fairly expensive. We were talking about like the quality of it,
Right.
but the reality of like maybe buying a $25 sweater, a $50 sweater compared to like a $200 sweater, but
Right.
then if something happens like coffee spills or something, it's all
Right.
gonna get stained, right? There's not like some magic
Right.
that can necessarily like fix all of that. So there's
Right.
it's almost as if every time you buy something, you got to think about the maintenance that comes along with it.
So I want to actually comment on that because there's a couple of things that came into my mind when you mentioned between more expensive and the shorter of expensive, like the
Mhm.
$50 versus $200 sweatshirt. And one of the things that I've noticed is like, I think it's good to spend, but not necessarily overspend. And also, you got to be smart with your fashion choices. Like, for example, if you were to dress up in it, so suits are expensive, right? But obviously, you need to buy a suit if you want to make an impression, especially in a career where appearance is very, very important. I am, one of the things that I've learned, and this is a quote from Suits that I really like. This is Harvey Specter. He's talking to Mike Ross, and Mike's like, why does this matter? I don't care. It's stupid that people are making a big deal
It's
out of this. And
superficial.
yeah,
Mhm.
superficial. And so he says, and like, you have to remember, first impressions last. If you start behind the eight ball, you'll never get in front. And it just shows that first impressions can really, really go a long way. It's not the only thing that matters, but it does
Mhm.
have a lasting impact. And if you don't, you're not supposed to like dress overly expensive. You're just supposed to dress modest to stand out a little bit out of the crowd and like have good quality material. The other thing that's interesting about the psychology of money is that when you tend to spend on something more expensive, you tend to care for it a little
Take care of it.
better.
Mhm.
Yeah. So with your example for the t-shirt, right? Say you got a $10 t-shirt and you got a $50 t-shirt, that looks exactly the same. If you stain the $10 one, you're probably gonna think, oh, probably not gonna need to care for it as much. Just throw it in the laundry. It's like $10 anyway. If I need to get rid of it, I'll get rid of it and just get a new one. So that's the mindset one for that. The other mindset is that when you stain a $50 t-shirt, you go home, you try and pre-treat it, you try and get that
Yes.
stain out. Yeah, and
No,
then
that's so
like
funny.
it
Yeah.
matters to you. Yeah, you you
No.
you you tend to care for it better. And
Yes.
that's
Well,
the it's interesting how luxury creates that. So luxury, it's the same thing, but the only thing that shifts is how you treat it. You tend to treat for these things much better, and that's why it's the illusion that it lasts longer because it's of higher quality, when in actuality it
it's just
lasts
better
longer because
maintenance.
you care for it. Yeah, you have better maintenance for it.
Well, that's funny you mentioned that because that example because when I was like having to watch them for the first time, I noticed like certain like I was like more like looking at it more, and
Right.
there's like there's like certain things. Oh, I gotta like at least like try to like
Right.
like clean it. But actually, as I was doing that, like kind of putting it to hot water to make sure like like these things are gonna be like completely clean. In my mind, also I'm thinking I don't normally do this. Where like I'm making sure that the stains are actually going to
Right.
go away, things like that. But at the same time, this is filling up my mind with worry. This thing is filling up my mind with stress. And I'm actually doing these extra steps to make sure that it is better maintained, let's say. But then,
Mm.
as I recognize, it's like, I actually don't want that as well. I don't like, sure, I want to dress well, but to what is the cost of it? The cost of it is
Mm.
to like what used to be just put in the laundry, it'll
Mm.
get washed later.
Are you one
The
of those
cost is
people who
now
just washes colors with whites?
no, not
No,
not
okay.
until I married Reagan, and then it became more. She doesn't believe in that, and I'm like, for the peace, okay, we don't believe in it, but the idea of it was like I had to like wash it that day, even though the
Right.
laundry won't necessarily be full. And it's like, I don't think that is necessarily worth the time and effort and energy to continue like living that way.
Mm.
So I actually, for me personally, I appreciate that in the clothing, but also I appreciate low maintenance items. So in particular,
Mm.
for example, the pants that I love that I've got like 7, 8 different colors of the same
Right.
pants is like the 5-way stretch and it's wrinkle free,
Oh, I love
machine
those
like
wrinkle-free clothing.
wrinkle
Ah,
free, and like so that's why I like it. It's like so you don't have to you don't have to worry about the wrinkles per se. It's a 5-way stretch. Like it's very stretchy. It's like a chino pants. I think it's very flexible. And actually, this is why I also appreciate the things that I bought from Baguio, where it's like
mhm.
a bomber jacket that is interchange. Like you can go put it inside
Oh,
out. I think that's pretty genius. And actually, I found out that the other like rain jacket that I have is also interchangeable, like from the
wait.
olive
This
green
is
to
this
like the
also from
gray.
Uniqlo?
Uh, yes, I believe so. Yeah.
Holy
So I'm
smokes!
kind of like looking at this like, yeah, like I really appreciate that where because when you really think about it, like we sometimes this is an example of sometimes where
Hmm.
we get too much items, right? Too much stuff. Like
Hmm.
I can recognize it as I see it from my mom, where she has like almost too much stuff, and it makes me think like, how many shirts, pants, and like shoes are you gonna wear in a day? Normally one,
Hmm.
normally one, and then it's like if you buy so much clothing, how much wears can you actually use that piece of clothing?
Oh,
So I
interesting.
actually I agree in that you should probably get more like higher quality items if you can, but then you also have to recognize like by getting those higher quality items you should also buy less of those things,
Right.
especially
Right.
shoes. I think shoes is a very easy example where um
Yeah. You only have
like
like one body, man. Like you only put on so many
yes,
pairs of clothing.
exactly, exactly. And so you have to like really be mindful on what you're actually wearing, but at the same time have to me I have the mindset that if something happens, like maybe I'm walking across the street and I have like these really nice shoes, and then
Right.
some car, splashes like me with water or something. Like I'm not gonna like go crazy with the shoes. I think I could kind of see it. Like, I don't understand the mindset like somebody wearing like Nikes, right? I'm not a shoe guy,
Right.
but I know there's a lot of reselling of the Nike shoes and Jordans and all that. But
I never understood that.
I can't imagine the stress to live with that kind of mindset
Right.
of like you have to worry about everything you wear, especially white shoes. I can appreciate a good pair of white shoes,
Hmm.
but the thing with them is it gets dirty easier and it's more evident because it is white.
Right.
So
I
there's like a
actually
level of care there, but at the same time, a level of I don't really care because it's gonna get dirty anyways. Um,
one of the things that have helped me, really appreciate clothes, like when I buy them, is that I know how to maintain them, and with shoes as well. Like I'm not afraid to buy white shoes. In fact, for some outfits, I'd prefer wearing
mhm.
an all white shoes. And I'm not and like I live in the Philippines, man. You've seen what the streets look like. You've seen what many of the places look like, and it's like it's rainy season, and I'm not afraid to wear them because I know what gets those stains off, and I know how to take care of them. I know how to restore it. Well, not restore perfectly as new, but at least be as clean as it should be. So if I was to advise anyone, especially for guys, this might sound weird, but like I want guys to at least know how to treat their clothes well and how to have proper maintenance,
Of
because
course.
it does have something to do. Remember when we were in Baguio and my drink spilled on the floor? It just splashed everywhere and got on my like new shirt. It got on
That
my
was
new
your new that
shirt.
was a new shirt.
That
I
was a
had no
new shirt
idea.
from Vietnam. Shout out to Vietnam for that shirt. but
Austrian countries
that
now.
yeah, but that was a new shirt. That was a new shirt. But I wasn't worried because like I knew how to get that stain off. The first time I did get off, like I knew the number one rule was not to iron it
Mhm,
because the stain is just gonna stick. When I got home back to Davao, I pre-treated it. I knew how to soak it. I knew how to scrub it. It was a lot of work than just like getting a cheaper shirt and then just throwing it out. Admittedly, but it was nice to see that I was able to restore it like closely, where at least the stains are not even visible, or the stains just it didn't look like it was stained in the first place. So that's something I pride myself on. And here's a maintenance district. Like I think about your mom, right? So there's probably a lot of people out there who have clothes that they end up not wearing. You know a trick that I learned? So one thing you could do is how you hang your hangers and you just kind of like hook them
mhm,
at the start of the year, or at when you're trying to start this out, if you're trying to get rid of clothes, hang them the opposite way so that the hook is facing towards you.
mhm.
And then when you use them, you wash them and you hook them back normally. And at the end of the year, you'll see which ones you didn't use because they're still hooked
Mhm.
in the opposite direction. So that's a
That's a
strategy I use.
that's a very interesting thing. Yeah, actually, I've never heard of that. I think that's a
Yeah.
interesting
I saw
uh,
that on
advice.
Instagram, like when I was in BYU Hawaii, and I thought, you know what? I have a
Hmm.
lot of clothes that I didn't really think of getting rid of. So before moving out, like a year before moving out, I had the hangers facing the opposite direction. And then
Hmm.
as I used them, when I put them back, I put them in like the hook side in, like the
Yeah.
right side. And then we were moving out. I knew, okay, I never used this. I never used this. Start get rid of that. You know, that's no longer important. It was interesting. It's the same rule with shoes. I put them right side in. I put them the opposite side
Wow,
in, with
that's
the heels
interesting.
facing towards you. And then when I use them, I grab them and put them back. I put them back normally. And so I know which shoes I have not been using, and
Hmm.
I can get rid of them. And so there's that's a system that I've been using, so I know, okay, why did I not like this? Was it
Hmm.
because I gained weight? Was it because I just didn't like the style? Oh, and here's another thing. Weight is such this your the way that you wear your clothes, like no matter how nice your outfit is, it's not gonna look good on you if you're overweight. I'm sorry if some people are gonna get hurt by this. This is yeah, this is why I have to hit the gym. This is why I am yeah, this is also why I have to lose weight, because there are clothes that
You
I'd
want
like
your
to wear.
clothes to look good.
Yeah, I want them to look good on me. The clothes don't make the man. It's the man who fills those clothes that makes a good first impression. There's a certain style that I want to achieve, but because, I'm overweight and it's not something that looks good on me, I need to change some certain things in my lifestyle. And so my clothes, so right now when I buy clothes, my clothes look better on me and than they were before, and I'm hoping that I can achieve. There's this style that I picture in my mind, that is like business professional, that I'm looking forwards to, and I can
Mhm.
only make that work if I have a certain body type.
Body type.
It's yeah. So like
So
I'm sorry, I'm not doing it to impress anyone. I just really
he
I
wants to
just
impress
really
him.
want to become
He
yeah,
wants to
I
impress
have to be
the
confident in
businessman.
myself. Yeah.
Well,
it's
I
a
think I want
it's
to.
an unspoken rule. Like you can earn money, but the discipline to have a fit body, that's something that money can't buy.
Yeah, yeah. No, I appreciate those. That advice with the clothing. That's real. That's something that like I might want my mom to try. Like, but at the same time, right? Like, to have more, like have too much clothing is a privileged
Hmm.
position to have, right? And
Right.
so what I try, like my rule of thumb idea is just it's almost like you limit yourself to only having X amount of stuff. In my case, in terms of like these pants that I absolutely love, like I'll only have like 10 max. And so that means that the closer you are to like that maximum number, you'll have to be really specific on what the colors you're gonna get, or like from what brand, or particularly shoes. If you have like how many sneakers are you gonna have, how many boots, sandals, things like that. And so if you limit yourself, for example, like with sneakers, like you'll only have like like three sneakers max. So you're gonna be more specific. Like maybe you'll have to categorize them. Like maybe there's sneakers, there's like basketball shoes. You only have like one or two basketball shoes, and you'll limit yourself in these specific categories. And I think it helps me focus if I really want this or that. In particular, like when you start having those hard limits, I think to me it starts making me appreciate what I have. Like in terms of like let's say church shoes, you should only really have maybe two or three max, because then how often are you really going to interchange those? Maybe you only need like either one or even just two. And
Right.
so that is going to really help with maximizing what you can or shouldn't have, like these t-shirts, how many I should have, or like jackets. And then by the end of it, like maybe you're like you have like a red zone where you're over your number, and so like by a certain amount of time you're gonna have to like trim it down. And I
Right.
think this is gonna it helps me anyways have less stress with the clothing. and it's
Right.
not like overbearing. But I think you have to like categorize it, and it's up to your diligence and like how strong you're gonna actually follow those that number. Like for example, like Hawaiian shirts, those are
Mhm.
separate. Those that's a separate category from normal T-shirts to normal polos and PK polos, let's say, and
Right.
like just like categorize them that way. So that way you'll also have like you'll eventually have these outfits that are good for every different season, the different temperatures and things like that.
Right.
Uh, so to me, that's how I kind of see it with clothing, and especially like when you're reaching that maximum number, let's say of shoes. It's like
Mhm.
if I get this other shoe, like I can buy this one shoe. If I get it, I can't buy another one until one of my shoes actually breaks. It's like it's very like you have to stick with it. It's almost like you have to appreciate the world's creation of that shoe or that piece of fabric or that clothing. Um, and so I think that's gonna help. But this would also go with like I think like maybe even like phone cases or just like anything in general. So you don't buy too much of one thing. I
I
think
didn't know it was a thing to buy too many phone cases or like a lot
I
of
mean
phone cases.
I mean
People do that.
yeah, I think there's a lot of people that buy like so many different phone cases. Um, I mean, I think I can appreciate it though, because like when you have a phone for so long and then it's on the same case, sometimes like rather than buying a new phone, you should just buy a
Right.
new case, let's say, and it makes it feel like it is
Oh,
completely
like that
new.
idea. Yeah.
Uh, but this all stems really it all stems from your diligence. If you can
Right.
control your mind into not spending frivolously, like it makes me scared a little bit where like people have different levels of self-control and different things. Something that I can appreciate doing sometimes is like walking around in a Walmart, like just
Mhm.
walking to walk and like window shopping, but like walking to walk rather than maybe walking like outside of the neighborhood. Like you can, but like, you can also just walk in a Walmart or like a big store
Right.
and not buying anything. Like having that decision beforehand to not buy anything. But I think some people don't have that discipline per se to like go in the mall and not buy anything. It's like they have to buy something. Like it depends on
You
how much
mentioned that,
effort.
and
Like it depends on how much effort it is to go to the place, right? And it kind of makes me
I'm
think of when we went to the night market in Baguio. Like at
yeah,
least somebody
yeah,
bought something though, so that is really
yeah.
good. But
I
we
was
also
the one
bought
who
food.
bought some.
We also bought food though, so
It's
but it's not
true.
necessarily like the clothing aspect of it.
Yeah, I remember like walking. I remember like walking there and buying a jacket and thinking I need a jacket that zippers up as well. Like I have a certain level of style that I'm pertaining
Mhm.
to, and if it's not there, then I gotta have it. But again, it's having to need that balance as well of not having too much. Right now, I'm just reorganizing my cabinet. I found three. I've since I've been home. There's three pairs of clothing that I got rid of. Or no, three upper garments and
Like outerwear, okay.
five five like shorts like cargo shorts that I got rid of because they no longer these were pants that I wore when I was still like 340 pounds. Right now
Mhm.
I'm in like 290, and so these pants no longer like suited me, and I got rid of those. Like I was
Mhm.
happy to get rid of those pants. It's such a it's such a nice feeling to get rid of clothes
Mhm.
that no longer fit you because they're too big. And it's funny how you mentioned that when people go to stuff, they feel like they have to buy something. I'm usually of a person like that, but not with my recent trip to Manila, because one of the things that I bought when I went to Manila, one of the one of the things that I bought when I went to Manila was I bought a new I bought a new watch. And
Oh.
yeah, because so something that I fancied, something that I told myself I was going to do was that every year, for my birthday or like on a month relatively close to my birthday, I'd buy myself a watch. Like that's a goal that I'd like to have for myself
Mhm.
because it shows me that number one, you got to have an income level that would allow me to buy that, and number
Mhm.
two, it's a reminder to myself of how things have changed. Like
How far
it's
you've
like
gone, your
yeah, how
progress.
far I've gone. This was a watch was something that always fancied me
Mhm.
because I hated having my wrist bare. Like
Really?
it's a nightmare.
That's so
Yeah.
interesting.
I feel naked. So if I take this off right now, and I just have my wrist like this, I feel like I'm naked. I feel
Dang.
like
All
something
right,
is
don't make me
missing.
watch.
And so I always have something on my wrist
Well,
whenever I'm going out.
I view watches completely different. I view it as a practicality uh,
Right.
point of view, where like a smartwatch, this is probably the best watch you can have, or a general like a Casio watch that probably won't
Mm-hmm.
break. But generally
Right.
speaking, like a tech watch is the best watch you can have because it can check your heartbeat, like
So
rhythm, your maybe how much you're exercising, you're walking. Like
right.
it just tells you how your body is, in
Right.
addition to all the normal watch features. So to me, that's the
Right.
most practical thing, and I don't view a more and more expensive watch as something really practical. I just view that as a loss of cash flow. But I can understand, and I can see where people can kind of see it because of the traditions of men, where
Mm,
it used to tell time, and then now it's a level of prestige.
right. So
But
this
that's
is
to me, it just doesn't sway me.
so for me, like I like it because it's something to wear. Although I don't fancy a smartwatch all the time because I'm starting to see the downsides of wearing it like at all times.
I
So
feel like it's actually more practical. It's actually
no,
super
here's the thing.
practical when you're getting a
Like
text or something
it's not
and you
that.
see
Like
it.
it's the other thing. It's the other things about it. So like when I wear this watch all the time, I don't know if all brands have this, but what I have is the Samsung Galaxy Watch Ultra, and I wore it all the time when I got it and it was new. And one of the
Mm.
things that I noticed is that when I wear it, my skin over here, it would start to peel, and I realized it was because of the watch and because it was overheating, and then I had to charge it all the time.
Mm.
I realized that I only really need this for two things. Number one, I only use it for when I'm sleeping, and number two, I use it for when I'm exercising. So the best thing for me is to just get something like a Fitbit that
Mm.
tells me how I sleep and how I exercise. Other than that, I try not to wear this just because of the effects that it's had, and also because of radiation. When I spoke, so I had a friend who I saw in
Uh-huh.
Manila who is also as interested as in the traditional watches as I am,
Hmm.
and one of the things that we've agreed on is that these are not necessarily like not super healthy. There's a lot of conspiracies about it, and again, I do not have a due diligence to check whether it's true or not. But like for me, it's just not something that I'd like to prefer to wear at all times. A
Hmm.
traditional watch that tells time, that's automatic. Those automatic winding watches, those are the things that suits me well. We talked about the different brands and what it meant. We talked about he's been collecting watches for a long time. I think
Hmm.
it's some sort of there's some sort of masculinity feeling about it, and
Of
again,
watches.
yeah, of
Okay.
watches, they make an impression as well. And the people that I've known, so I've known
That's interesting.
I know two people who are watch enthusiasts. Was one that I mentioned that I met, and the other was a friend of my mom's. These are people who have to be in careers that they interact with a lot of people at all times, and
Hmm.
so I see that a watch can also tell you something about the person that you are and how you dress. There's even like a standard of what watches to wear in certain times as well.
That's so
And
funny.
yeah,
I
so there's
I mean,
it falls in another realm of men's styling. But again,
uh,
these same two people are super fit, and they're in their
sure.
50s.
Well, I'm just thinking at it as you were saying it, like I feel like that's marketing straight up. I feel
It
like
probably is.
that is one of those traps that maybe like it's because it is traditional that people
Mhm.
kind of fall into that trap where if somebody has a particular watch, if you know kind of deal. It makes me think of
Right.
that trend. If you know, where uh, people are wearing like super humble clothing, but then if
Mhm.
you know, it's like what they're actually wearing is maybe worth $10,000, It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, because so it's almost like a level, like a couple gates above your normal person, in which they didn't
Right.
even recognize that the person that passed by them is like worth so much. But I also
Right.
think that is something people just made up to
Right.
kind of feel more important. I can imagine it where watch being interested in watch isn't as nerdy as liking DC or liking comic
Right.
books, right? So I can see it where like people kind of gravitated towards something more
Mm-hmm.
basic like that, with like a watch, in which now that they're more prominent and that they recognize that that's what they're wearing, uh, like they kind of put more emphasis in that for other people as well to think
Right.
that it is important. But just like how that is the case, like I can't imagine where like maybe there's certain designs. Something that one of our friends was mentioning was like Hawaiian shirts, for example, of certain
Mm-hmm.
quality, of like a certain brand with certain collaborations with different series or something.
Right.
Like a
Right.
Gundam shirt, a Hawaiian shirt, for example, can actually go for like $600. It's like
Holy
if you know, you
smokes.
know. If you know, you know. But the thing is, as a normal, like as a person who's not into the know, I don't value that. I don't value
Right.
that. But then it's like, I guess other people can see the value of it, but it's very, very niche. And I think this is one of
Mm-hmm.
those business stuff where like people just put an emphasis on it just to put an emphasis on it because they themselves have something like that.
Right.
I think we're
You
also like
have
reaching
to be
a
in
point
you, to value
where
it. You need to be in that trend as well.
yeah, and I think I mean this is one of Mark Cuban, one of his thinking was like, if you are in a room where everybody has a suit and tie and if there's somebody that's not in a suit and tie, that's the person that you want to talk to. That's the person that's commanding the room. So it's like, oh, what's going on here? It's like there's different levels. It's almost like if you're at a level, like let's say there's 10 levels in total. If you're at level 3, there's the normal way of like looking presentable, looking a certain way, until
Right.
until at the very like high end and the high echelon of those levels
Mm-hmm.
9 and 10 looks like being in levels 1 and 2, which is like looking sloppy. And so I think like there's that like uh idea where like for me myself, like maybe I'm just not seeing the vision at the moment, but i
Mm-hmm.
i do not value that because it's not practical. And
Right.
it kind of makes me think also of I don't know if you know about this Twitch streamer. His name is XQC. So he's one of the more popular streamers, and he's like a millionaire, like super wealthy. And one of the things he used to say before he got super duper wealthy was like, "Oh, I think people that have these $40,000 watches or thousandaire like watches, it's really dumb because like like, that's so stupid to kind of have that asset." But
Mm-hmm.
now that he's like a super wealthy, he has a watch collection. And so it could be that I'm just not seeing the value of it. But I think also
Right.
like from a practical standpoint, like it is simply just a watch. It is
Right.
simply like I think technology is the most practical thing. If you could have a watch that doesn't run out of battery, like normal watches that aren't smart watches, you don't have to charge it. So there is that trade off. But as a general rule, like with clothing, like you gotta see it in terms of the practicality of it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, like you mentioned, it could open you doors. But I think the biggest door that I think the biggest thing that it could help you with is actually your confidence first and
Right.
foremost.
Right.
But once again, confidence is more of a mental mindset.
Right.
If you can buy your confidence without really buying it with clothing or perfume and cologne and styling your hair, I think
Right.
you're good to go. If you can somehow buy that or like acquiring those skills, that's going to
Right.
give you a multiplier better than buying a more expensive suit, buying a better watch.
Right.
But that's
Yeah.
just how I see it.
Yeah, the things that I mentioned, like it's similar. We just 2 seconds, like 2 minutes ago, we were talking about those who are collecting Nike shoes. Like your reaction to what I would try to do with a watch collection is similar to how I would react to someone who's collecting Nike shoes and saying that it would appreciate in value. Now, I don't think that it would be healthy to have your confidence stem from items. But like you said, it's good that people are able to develop a mindset where they can be confident within themselves and where they get to the point where they don't have to. For me,
Well,
like
it
a
kind of
watch collection is like, just something like kind of an enjoy. But yeah, like you
well,
mentioned, similarly.
I'm kind of relating it now. I'm gonna kind of relate it to faith, where it's almost like a borrowed testimony. It's
Right.
like getting these
Yeah.
clothes to make yourself feel a certain
Right.
way is like having this, even working out, having a particular physique even is like a borrowed testimony kind of deal, where
Right.
you're having these external motivations, but until you can kind of just like, that is just who I am internally. I think it's okay to have that borrowed testimony, like that borrowed confidence, until you have your own inner confidence from within. That's not necessarily coming from an external source,
Hmm.
but that's incredibly difficult to have. Like, there's a
Right.
reason why it's external and internal. Internal being the highest prize, but you can't necessarily teach that to somebody. They
Right.
have to kind of want it, and through their actions, it becomes who they are.
Do you see a correlation with people who are confident and people who exercise and who are fit? Because for me, I'm thinking that there is no greater source of confidence than when you're able to work on something, your body, that takes a lot of discipline, a lot of patience, and grow it to something that is desirable and like pleasing,
Yeah, yes, of
and make
course.
a good first impression.
So I think what makes, like, first of all, let's just get it out of the way that to be attractive makes things a lot easier.
Right.
There's pretty privileged people say that, but just
Right.
being attractive in general will make things so much easier, because people in general want to be liked by those that are attractive.
Right.
And so you were mentioning about like working on your body, working on your physique. Yeah,
Right.
that's one of those things where you can't really cheat. Like,
Mm.
you can be poor as heck and put everything in a credit card with having like really fancy clothing. You can be in
Mm-hmm.
debt by buying a really expensive car, but you
Right.
can't really cheat a really attractive like physical body,
Right.
particularly for guys. Like, you can't just buy that. And people might even say like the steroids and things like that, like drug use. Sure, it happens, but as a general rule, it still doesn't substitute you putting in the effort. And like you were mentioning, to have a body like that, it requires diligence, it requires
Right.
persistence, and it takes time. And so when somebody sees something like that from an outside point of view, you already have a general idea of who they are, which they're diligent,
Right.
they can maintain like that in a world, especially in a world in the US, where it's easier to have a bigger body. It kind of
Right.
just shows that you're of a different breed, let's say. And so it does help a lot. So I always say, like, there's three things in terms of like an individual. There's going to
Mm-hmm.
be the physical, the mental, and then the spiritual. And in terms of how I see it, in terms of like the most important is the spiritual, the mental, and then the physical. But the easiest thing that people can see is the physical, then the mental, then the spiritual.
Right.
And the physical being the easiest, I think, to actually change. Because as you are in the progress of getting a better physique, that would help improve your confidence, and you would kind of continue. The hardest thing is always the starting point. Starting is the
Right.
hardest. It's because it's painful. It really is painful. But then as you continue through it, it gets a lot easier. And then as it gets easier for you, you might also get like maybe compliments, or just a better, other people would have a better outlook on you, so that's going to help you continue with it. But at the same time,
Right.
because your confidence is like a certain level, if you ever trip on it, it's also really easy to go back down and kind of feel a
Right.
certain way. But
I remember like when you mentioned that spiritual, mental, and physical. A lot of people don't realize that if they just focus on the physical, like if they focus on working on their physical and developing their physical body, 90% of their problems, which stems from the mental and the spiritual, could be solved. Because if you think about
Well,
it, your
I don't think
spirit
I don't want to say it's solved. It's alleviated. It gets better.
alleviated, yes, yes. And if you think of the logic behind it, both these things of the mental and the spiritual, they reside in your body, and
Mm-hmm.
your body controls a lot of what you do, like how healthy you are. There's numerous studies that show that how healthy you are affects how your brain functions.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, if you're overweight, your blood vessels tend to be thicker. There's not a lot of blood that's going to your brain, and because there's not a lot of blood that goes to your brain, not a lot of oxygen, it's you tend to have a weaker brain. It's correlated with a weaker brain.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't do a lot of the activities that you enjoy, a lot of the activities that require physical labor and a lot of physical work. And it also affects your attitude, like how much dopamine you have.
Mm-hmm.
It solves a lot of the problems if you sleep for 8 hours, if you fix your diet, and you exercise every day. Then that solves a lot of the problems that you're facing.
And
And
you drink a
so
lot of water.
yeah, you have to drink. Yeah, that's part of this. That's part of the diet actually. Like a lot of people seem to miss that. I'm worried because we're entering a generation. This is not only in the US now. This is also happening in the Philippines, and I'm glad I'm a little more aware about it because I'm starting to get a little scared. Um in the US, they have this body positivity, right? If you
Yeah.
think about body positivity, it started to be proud of your body because of the things you can't do. Like probably you're disabled or you got an amputated arm or something. That was what body positivity meant. For some reason, we shifted it over to being proud of being overweight. The problem with that is you're supposed to have people accept you for something that you could obviously have total control and something that you could change. And when I left the US, I thought, okay, I didn't have to face that problem. We're facing that problem in the Philippines as well.
Well,
We're the,
I think it stems from a suicidal empathy where
what is that
people
suicidal empathy? Like
so
what
so
is
so like suicidal empathy is the idea that you want to show empathy and kindness to people, but then you do it to the detriment of your own of yourself. In this case, it's not necessarily yourself, but it's to other people. Where, like, I think I like to give this example for you, right? Like, where I think true love, like there's different definitions of love, and like a true love, like
mhm,
even like a friendship point of view. But it's almost, to me, I think an example of a true friendship would be if somebody is morbidly obese. A true
mhm,
friend would talk to that person and say, hey, I care about you, you're morbidly obese, like you gotta lose weight. While
mhm.
a
It's like a
lower
good
level
friend.
of
Yeah.
love, of friendship, I guess, would be, hey, you're doing just fine. You look amazing just the way you are.
Mhm.
And so, like, you can kind of see where one is more confrontational while the other one is just straight up, like, it's almost as if they're even lying to themselves to eventually
Right.
lie to their friend. And I think it's not seeing how the world is, it's rather how the world should be. It's like, and
Right.
the world is like, the reality of it is you are not doing great, and so like you need to lose weight, and I'm here like to support you, like uh
Right.
you know kind of hold you accountable for maybe certain goals, while the other friend is just saying it to be nice. And this is like
Right.
the difference, like to be good and then to be nice. And
Right.
I dislike it when people say that I'm nice, because it feels
Yeah.
icky to me.
It's insulting. Like what did I ever do to you? Like what did I did what was I too kind to you? Did I give off the wrong impression?
Like,
Like one of
to
the
me,
things I
nice
keep telling them.
it's almost like fake and just going with the flow, where being good is um being able to stand for certain principles. In this case, the principle of what is healthy and what is not,
Right.
or like
Exactly.
sometimes even like what is true, maybe in like the gender sense. Uh, and so like there's certain things like that where you have to pick and choose your battles, but like it's easier said than done.
Right. I'll
And
tell
you
you,
you
like
were
it's
mentioning
not.
about like the body stuff, right? Where
Yeah.
yeah, like the more the better the healthier of a body weight one can be, like the better their clothes would look. So that's going to help improve with the mental and the confidence. And
Right.
then from there you have more, because you're more attractive, you then have a more influence into hopefully being able
Right.
to do more good and like kind of spreading that goodness to other people.
There's more benefits to being fit. Like one of the things, so one of the things that I told myself, I'm not gonna get married if I'm not fit, if I
And
am
what's your
not
definition of being
healthy.
fit?
So being fit for me, being fit for me is definitely within the BMI range. So I think for mine, it's weighing 100. So right now I'm 290. The goal is to get it to 170, 160
Dang, dude,
pounds.
really?
Because that's what's
Wait,
supposed.
wait.
So if you check the
Are we talking
BMI
about pounds
index,
here, or we're
that's
talking about grams, like
pounds. This
kilograms?
this is pound. This is pounds. And you know
Wow,
what? No, because you know why?
that's like
Because that's
my
what
weight right now.
I know. And so I'm not saying it's gonna be easy. And I'm not saying I'm gonna achieve this quickly. And
I'm
there's
gonna hold you
definitely
accountable then.
yes,
I'm
there's
gonna
gonna
hold
be
you
a lot of
accountable.
things that I see that is going to I see a lot of these things affecting how this plays into my marriage and into having kids. Do you know, like, so a lot of the illnesses that women feel when they're pregnant is a lot of it is tied to men. And a lot of the illnesses to the child as well is tied to men. Like what you do, how fit you are when you got
Mhm.
your wife pregnant, it affects a
Yeah,
lot of
for sure.
how she performs during the
Yeah.
9 month pregnancy
Oh,
stage. And for me, like now that I have that knowledge, shouldn't I at least have the accountability to be in the best shape I am as possible, to live a healthier lifestyle, to have a really good diet, to ensure that none of that unnecessary burden goes to my wife
of
and goes to
course.
starting a family. And it also plays into one of the things I'm trying to work on is my temper. And I remember whenever I'd have problems, it's tied again to my diet and my sleep. I could Every bad day I've had, I could trace it back to either because I didn't exercise, or I didn't sleep properly,
Mhm.
or I ate too much of this bad stuff. I always find a way to connect it to those three.
Mhm.
And so if I want to be able to be the person and the father and the husband that I want to be, it's a necessary requirement to be fit. It's a
Yes.
necessary requirement to be healthy. And so I can't get married until I have achieved that goal. It is something that I really need to hold myself accountable to.
And I'll hold you accountable to it.
Yes.
I think
I'm saying this out there for the world to know, and it's gonna be hard. But there's no backing out now. Like I
well,
can't go back to how I
I
used to
think that's
be.
a really, really, really good goal to have. And it kind of made me start thinking about, you were mentioning that, you want your kids to have the best advantage in life.
Right.
Now, there are some people that, maybe this is a really late topic to kind of include here, but
Right.
like there's a lot of people that also maybe have certain disabilities that could uh, that would extend to their offspring.
Right.
What are your thoughts on the idea that, like, because of those risks, should there be some sort of cap on how many kids or how many offspring they should have, or how should this
When you say
be a
disabilities, is this like
this could be
dyslexia or
mental or
like
physical. No,
okay,
this could be mental, physical. It could even just be wearing glasses, for example.
okay.
Like maybe certain people's genes is gonna produce an offspring that's gonna
Hmm.
have like worse eyesight or something. Should there be some sort of um, like governmental interference with in
Oh,
terms of
okay.
procreation with this, like with certain people? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I've never been a fan of a government trying to step in and set up barriers or set up incentives for anything,
Hmm.
because there's always a way to exploit that and there's always an unintended consequence. So I stand by that. Like, even with a lot of things, I don't think. I think you should be careful with how you procreate, and I think you should be. You should do the things that are within your control to have the healthiest baby as possible.
Hmm.
And do I think that government should interfere? No, I really don't think so. I just seen a lot of cases where the government was trying to do that, and it always brings up the a terrible unintended consequence later. So my answer
Okay.
to that would simply be like no. I don't know how other people would feel though. Like I can't. I don't know what it's like to you know be told by a doctor that your kid has a certain disability and that any other kids that you're going to have will have certain disabilities. I don't know what it's like. I
Hmm.
just know that as an individual, I have a responsibility to be this kind of person, and that's all I'm trying to strive to be.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
How about you? What's your thoughts on the matter?
Well, I think I would agree with you. In which, I mean, the genetics, it shouldn't be the ability to procreate should not be based on like
Mm,
necessarily your genetics, in that there are certain probabilities that this or this could happen to your child. Rather,
mm-hmm.
like you mentioned, that's almost too much. Like that's even too much for anybody to really think about. The most important
Right,
thing is the individuals needs to be in the best position themselves to take care of their offspring as much as
right.
possible, physical, like the economical side of it, the spiritual side of it.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, though, when I do think about that, like you were mentioning about, you have to see, like for sure, get the perfect body that you want. It'll never happen. It'll never happen. And what I mean by that is, you'll never reach your perfect body because there's always going to be something else to improve on. And it kind
Fair.
of reminded me of our conversation with, I guess, my auntie, where
Okay.
the idea of ignorance kind of coming into play with creating a business, where the idea is that there are people probably like myself in which, we think about having a business but always waiting for that perfect opportunity, waiting for certain categories to match up, having a
Right.
checkbox. But when it is the perfect opportunity, we're going to add more subcategories to make sure that it's an even more prime time to do something.
Mm,
Yet there are those who just jump at that opportunity for like having a business idea, which my auntie kind of did, and
right.
the ignorance helped in that. There's so many. She didn't realize that there's so many problems to be fixed, but
Right.
because she even started step, like she even started walking, she was able to overcome and be adaptable,
Mm,
find the solutions to those problems, and eventually she could run in that business. And then there's other people
mm-hmm.
like that was like talking to her, like kind of saying that she got lucky because like he's been waiting for this and this and this. Well, like
Right.
she didn't have any of that waiting. Because of her ignorance on all of these problems, she was
Right.
able to even take the first few steps, and like I learned so much. And there's all of this planning. There's always going to be an issue here or there that you
Mm-hmm.
can't really account for. And so, like going back to like the Gen X stuff, like there's all these. We're trying to plan the best perfect baby, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
but that's never gonna happen.
Right.
Like, yet at the same time, like you have responsibility to do your best. Like I think the most important thing is doing your best, and you knowing yourself if you've done your best in terms of creating the best opportunity, like situation for where you are in anything
Right.
really. So it just comes down to just doing your best, and because there's always gonna be something, right? You could have
Mm-hmm.
slept earlier. You could have not looked at your phone like for longer than a minute. You could have like
Right.
all these things, but like we're all humans, and I'm not trying to excuse mediocrity, but rather like you know yourself. As long as you're better than your previous
Yeah,
self.
it's also accepting that you're a human being and that you're gonna make mistakes and you're gonna screw up
Yes,
99% of the time.
like you're not gonna. There's gonna be a point where maybe you'll have yelled at your child X, Y, and Z, or
Right.
like
It's
something
not
is always
perfect.
gonna happen.
Hmm.
But
It's always better. It's always better to have a goal where you shoot for the moon and eventually land on the
on the
stars.
stars.
Yeah, than it is to have to aim for nothing at all and stay on the ground.
Yeah, not even shooting your shot. Well, this has to also kind of want to bring it with the idea that, um, like when you're working out, when you're getting to that goal, it is so much easier to maintain a really physical, like good physique than trying to get to that point. It is
True.
easier to maintain than like getting even stronger. And so like the earlier you can get to that point, the easier it is to simply maintain it, and then you can reap
Mm,
all the benefits without all that crazy hard work that it took you to get there, like at a
right.
longer period of time. Like, I remember, I think one of our like maybe high school PE teachers would say like it's much better to get to be to have a to have a good like to exercise and be fit at a younger age, because it's almost as if at your when you're a teen, doing one push-up is like equivalent to 5 or 7 push-ups when you're in your late 30s or something.
Hmm.
So like it's almost as if you're able to get uh, exponential growth there.
Yeah, people don't realize that anything you do is exponential. It's not a straight curve. It's like you barely make any progress, and then all of a sudden, all these things just accumulate and change. Well, I'm
Yeah,
optimistic for the future, and I'm optimistic to see what happens. But yeah, I think that's good for my final words. I hope people try their best and do their best. Always make a good first impression, and always see the things that you can change and improve on in your life. It's never too late. I'm crying out loud for this younger generation. I'm already old, but I have so much of my life ahead of me that I can still change.
yeah.
Sean.
Well, my final words for today would be, in some ways, like hopefully people don't take this thing out. Like make as many mistakes as you can early on. And what I mean by that is do stuff, right? Uh, do stuff and learn from them as quick as possible. I think there's the idea like wisdom is learning from the mistakes of others, and intelligence is learning from your own mistake. Be as wise as possible, and then uh, be as intelligent. Like uh, act on your intelligence, but be as wise as possible.
Right.
It's best to kind of learn from others' mistakes rather than your own. But doing stuff, you will make mistakes. So do as much stuff as possible. Like, I mean, just an example that I was thinking is like, like as a kid having one of those lemonade stands, that was pretty fun. Or trying that out, or trying like J ROTC or something, and being in the Air Force, like not
Right.
Air Force, but like the junior Air Force that you can try. Like I think just do a lot of stuff as much as possible. And there's a lot of stuff that you can do that doesn't require a lot of money. For those that are in the more budget friendly things, like you got to prioritize the things that you want to do, but also there's so much things that are available out there. You just got to find it. And, like there's libraries, there's a lot of knowledge. Um, there's a lot of information out there, especially in this day and time. And also, like, don't make excuses. That's the
Yeah.
biggest thing as well. Don't make excuses.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all on my end. I was actually surprised because I thought you were gonna say something like "Shop at Uniqlo. They got reversible parkas" or something.
Uh, when I go back to the Philippines, I want to go try out that really big store that you mentioned. And then
Oh, Mall of
there's
Asia.
that there's that one Uniqlo shop that has like 3 floors or something. Like, I want to go
Yeah,
check that
that's that.
out and
It's
see
there,
what it's all about
and
there.
close to that building, actually, there's like an individual building that's just for Uniqlo as well. I
Oh,
just found
maybe
out in
I
a
gotta go
recent
check
trip.
out the SM stop shop because that's where I
Yeah.
got that bomber jacket that's reversible.
Oh.
Pretty cool.
All right. Well, that's for everyone. That's it for us, guys. See you next week.
All right, take care.